Throughout history, thinkers from every corner of the world have pondered the nature of consciousness. At its core, consciousness is one of the universe's greatest mysteries. How does the activity of our brains, just neurons firing electrical signals, give rise to thoughts, emotions, and the vivid experience of being? Some theories suggest that consciousness is more than a byproduct of the brain. It might be fundamental to the universe itself. Ideas like panpsychism, which is the idea that consciousness isn't just something humans or animals have, it's a fundamental property of the universe, like space, time, or gravity. According to this theory, even the tiniest particles, like atoms or electrons, might have some form of awareness, however basic. Instead of seeing consciousness as something that only appears in complex brains, panpsychism suggests it's everywhere, woven into the very fabric of reality. In a way, it's like saying that the building blocks of the universe are not just physical, but also have a spark of experience within them. Here's a quote from Carl Jung. "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." Wow, this hints at how consciousness not only shapes our inner world, but may also interact with the universe itself. Okay, so let's back it up and start with the basics. What is consciousness? Simple version. Consciousness is the state of being aware of and able to think about one's own existence, thoughts, and surroundings. It's what allows us to experience the world, to feel it all, the joy and the sorrow, the curiosity, and the wonder. Pretty amazing, right? And here's where things get even more fascinating. There's something called the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by David Chalmers, who is an Australian philosopher and cognitive scientist, best known for his work in the philosophy of mind and consciousness. So, the hard problem of consciousness, it's the puzzle of why we experience things the way we do. Like, we know the brain processes information, but why does that result in the feeling of love, the taste of chocolate, or the color red? It's been described as the hard problem of science because while we can measure brain activity, understanding the subjective experience remains a little elusive. Scientists can explain how neurons fire and how signals travel, but the hard problem asks, why do those processes create this rich inner world we call consciousness? It's a question that leaves even the brightest minds scratching their heads and keeps us wondering about what it really means to be alive and aware. And consciousness is not a single flat experience, but exists on multiple levels. Let's start with the level of wakefulness. This is our ability to stay alert and interact with our environment. It's the foundation of consciousness, the state where we're aware of the world around us and can respond to it. Think of it like the power being on in a house. It doesn't mean every light is on, or that every room is in use, but it's what allows all those other activities to happen. Without wakefulness, the more complex layers of consciousness, like thoughts, emotions, and self-awareness, simply can't exist. It's fascinating how something so fundamental underpins everything that makes us, us. Now let's move to self-awareness. This is the ability to recognize ourselves as unique individuals, separate from the world around us. It's what allows us to reflect on our thoughts, emotions, and actions, to say, I think, therefore I am. Self-awareness is like looking into a mirror, not just physically, but mentally. It's the part of consciousness that lets us ask deep questions about who we are, why we feel the way we do, and how we fit into the bigger picture of life. It's what makes us pause and wonder, am I living authentically? Or even, what's my purpose? Without self-awareness, we'd be unable to grow, adapt, or truly connect with others on a meaningful level. It's one of the most profound aspects of being human. And then there's metaconsciousness, a step beyond self-awareness. This is the ability to think about your own thinking, to observe your own mind in action. It's like stepping outside yourself and becoming the narrator of your own story, reflecting on why you feel, think, or act a certain way. Metaconsciousness is what allows us to question our beliefs, challenge our biases, and strive for personal growth. It's the inner dialogue that asks, why did I react that way? Or what can I do to improve? It's also where creativity and problem-solving thrive, as we step back and look at things from entirely new perspectives. This level of awareness not only deepens our understanding of ourselves, but also lets us navigate life with greater intention and insight. It's consciousness observing itself, a truly remarkable phenomenon. Okay, just imagine it as a spectrum. On one end, we got survival instinct, and on the other end, profound self-reflection. And these different levels suggest that consciousness is dynamic and constantly shifting, and actually influencing how we perceive reality and our little old place within it. Here are some real-life scenarios where the dynamic and constantly shifting nature of consciousness influences how we perceive reality and our place within it. Daydreaming versus focused attention. While working on a project, you might suddenly find yourself daydreaming about a vacation or a cherished memory. This shift in consciousness affects your perception of time and reality. Your focus moves from the present task to a mental space of possibility or nostalgia, changing how you feel about the moment. Mindfulness and emotional regulation. During an argument, if you take a moment to step into mindfulness, meta-consciousness, you might recognize your rising anger and consciously choose to respond calmly. This shift in awareness influences how you perceive the conflict and your role within it, often leading to a more constructive outcome. Lucid dreaming. In a dream, you might suddenly become aware that you're dreaming, self-awareness blending into metaconsciousness. This realization can shift your perception of reality, letting you actively influence the dream's events and explore the boundaries of what your mind can create. Flow state in creativity. When an artist or athlete enters a flow state, they become so deeply immersed in their activity that self-awareness fades and wakefulness dominates. Their perception of reality narrows to the task at hand, creating a seamless experience of connection and purpose. Reframing a negative experience. After a tough day, reflecting on the events, metaconsciousness, might help you reinterpret the experience as a learning opportunity rather than a failure. This shift in consciousness changes how you view not only the day, but also your personal growth and resilience. Meditative states. Through meditation, you might move from ordinary wakefulness to a state of profound self-awareness or even transcendence. This altered state of consciousness can transform how you perceive your connection to others, the universe, and your role in the grander scheme of things. The overview effect in astronauts. Many astronauts report a shift in consciousness when viewing Earth from space. The experience reshapes their understanding of reality and their place within it, fostering a sense of unity and interconnectedness with humanity and the planet. And there are theories that purpose our state of consciousness could affect how we interpret time and space itself. Theories suggesting that our state of consciousness can influence how we interpret time and space include ideas from neuroscience, psychology, quantum physics, and philosophy. Here's a breakdown of some key theories. Relativity of perception. Our consciousness can change how we experience time. When we're scared or stressed, like during a car accident, time might feel like it slows down, letting us notice more details. On the other hand, when we're completely focused or enjoying ourselves, time seems to fly by. Altered states of consciousness. In meditation, dreams, or psychedelic experiences, our sense of time and space can feel totally different. For instance, people on psychedelics sometimes say time feels endless, or that space seems connected in ways that don't make sense in everyday life. Quantum consciousness and the observer effect. In quantum physics, just observing something can change how it behaves. Some theories suggest that our consciousness might be connected to this, possibly influencing how we experience time and space in ways we don't fully understand yet. Time perception in everyday life. Our sense of time depends on what we're focusing on. When we're bored, it drags. When we're busy or excited, it flies. This shows that time isn't just something out there. Our minds play a big role in how we feel it. Philosophy of time. Some philosophers think time flows like a river we move through, presentism, while others believe all moments exist at once, and we only experience them one at a time, eternalism. Practices like meditation, which focus on the present moment, can make us question whether time is something real or just something we create in our minds. Einstein's relativity in our experience. Einstein showed that time and space aren't fixed, they're relative. astronauts traveling at high speeds experience time differently than we do on Earth. Some think that how we focus or perceive things might influence how we experience this relativity. Dreams and time-space in the mind. In dreams, time and space don't behave like they do in real life. A dream might feel like it lasts for years, even though it's just a few minutes. Or you might find yourself in places that don't logically connect. But it all feels completely natural while you're dreaming. Hey there! Are you enjoying the video so far? If you are, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps us out and lets us keep bringing you more content like this. Plus, we love seeing your support. It honestly means the world to us. Thanks so much, and let's get back to it. Now, think about how consciousness shapes our human experience. Every sensation, every emotion, every memory are all products of our conscious mind. That, my friends, is what makes us human, what gives our lives richness and depth. From the ancient mystics to our modern neuroscientists, the belief that consciousness is more than just brain activity has persisted. So consciousness isn't just an isolated phenomenon within our brains. Some theories suggest that it's intricately linked with the universe itself. For example, quantum mechanics introduces the idea that consciousness might play a role in shaping reality. Let's go back to the observer effect in quantum physics, which reveals that the act of observation influences how particles behave, hinting at a connection between our awareness and the fundamental fabric of the universe. Similarly, panpsychism suggests that consciousness is a fundamental aspect of reality, present even in the smallest particles. This idea proposes that rather than arising solely from complex systems like the brain, consciousness might be a universal property embedded in all matter. These theories challenge the traditional view of consciousness as merely a byproduct of biology, suggesting instead that it might be a profound force that intertwines with the universe in ways we're only beginning to understand. So, if you've ever wondered whether the universe is aware of itself through us, you are not alone in that. And by the way, the concept that consciousness and the universe are interconnected isn't limited to science. Spiritual traditions describe a universal mind or cosmic consciousness, an awareness that permeates all of existence. And in Hinduism, for instance, the concept of Brahman refers to an ultimate, infinite consciousness that is the source of all reality, with individual awareness seen as a fragment of this greater whole. Similarly, Buddhism speaks of Rigpa, or pure awareness, a state of consciousness beyond the ego that connects all beings to the nature of reality itself. In Sufism, a mystical branch of Islam, practitioners describe a divine essence that flows through all creation, often expressed in poetry as the beloved or the universal spirit. Indigenous traditions around the world, such as those of many Native American cultures, speak of a great spirit that unites all life and governs the interconnected web of existence. Even Western philosophies have touched on this idea. For example, the 19th century transcendentalists like Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote about the Oversoul, a universal spirit that links every individual to each other and to nature. These traditions, despite their differences, share the belief that our individual consciousness is part of a greater universal awareness that transcends the physical world. So the question is, could our individual consciousness be just a fragment of a larger universal experience? The interconnectedness of consciousness and the universe is more than just a philosophical musing. This, my friends, is a thrilling intersection of science, spirituality, and the quest for understanding our place in the cosmos. And some scientists even speculate that if consciousness is fundamental, it could explain the observer effect in quantum mechanics. Let's throw a little modern physics at you in one of the most fascinating glimpses into the mysteries of the universe. The famous double-slit experiment. So imagine this. Scientists sent tiny particles, like electrons or photons, through two narrow slits. You'd expect these particles to behave like little marbles, landing in straight lines. But here's the twist. They created a wave-like pattern on the other side, as if they'd traveled through both slits at once, interfering with themselves. And the mystery deepens. When researchers tried to observe which slit the particle went through, the wave pattern disappeared, and the particles acted like marbles again. It's as if the very act of observing changed the outcome. Now that's marbles. Seriously, though, this experiment challenges everything we think we know about reality. It hints at a universe where observation plays a key role and suggests a deeper connection between consciousness and the fabric of existence. Now, could it be that consciousness is not only shaped by the universe, but also plays a role in shaping it? Let's take this farther. What is the source of consciousness? The source of consciousness is the greatest mysteries of our existence. There have been countless theories, from the mystical to the scientific. Let's start with materialism. Materialism is the idea that everything in the universe, including our thoughts, feelings, and consciousness, comes from physical things. It's the belief that the mind and consciousness are entirely the result of processes in the brain, like electrical signals and chemical reactions. In this view, if you break everything down, all that exists is made of matter, atoms, molecules, and the forces that govern them. There's no need to look beyond the physical world to explain reality, because everything, including our experiences, can be traced back to physical interactions. On the other end of the spectrum, we have dualism. Dualism is the idea that there are two fundamental parts to reality, the physical and the non-physical. In this view, the body and brain are physical things, but the mind or consciousness is something separate, something non-physical, like a soul or spirit. Dualism suggests that while the brain controls our physical functions, our thoughts, feelings, and awareness come from this other, non-material part of us. It's like two systems working together, the tangible body and the intangible mind, each playing a role in our experience of life. There's also a fascinating middle ground, panpsychism. Panpsychism is the idea that consciousness isn't just something humans or animals have, it's a basic feature of the universe itself. According to this view, even the smallest things, like atoms or particles, have some tiny spark of awareness. Instead of thinking of consciousness as something that only happens in complex brains, panpsychism suggests it's everywhere, built into the fabric of reality. It doesn't mean a rock thinks like we do, but it might mean that even the simplest bits of matter have a kind of basic experience. So, if consciousness is purely a brain phenomenon, it means our experiences, thoughts, and emotions are all products of physical processes. But if it's a fundamental part of the universe, it changes everything about how we understand our place in the cosmos. Now imagine if every particle in the universe had a tiny amount of awareness, contributing to a larger cosmic mind. This could suggest that our individual consciousness is just one expression of a much grander, interconnected consciousness that spans the universe. Many spiritual practices like meditation, my fave, and mindfulness tap into this idea. Practitioners often report a sense of unity with the world around them, a feeling that their consciousness is connected to something greater. Could it be that these experiences are glimpses into the true nature of consciousness? In fact, some neuroscientific studies show changes in brainwaves during deep meditation, indicating altered states of consciousness where the sense of self dissolves, potentially allowing access to a deeper, more universal consciousness. So, where do you stand on this spectrum? Do you lean more towards materialism, dualism, or panpsychism? Or maybe you have your own theory entirely? I would love to hear in the comments what your theories are. It is crazy cool that consciousness could emerge from the strange probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics. So what is quantum mechanics? Quantum mechanics is the branch of physics that deals with the behavior of particles on the smallest scales. It's a world where particles can exist in multiple states at once, where they're both here and there, and where observation can influence the state of a particle. Mind-blowing, yeah? This has profound implications for our understanding of reality itself, suggesting that at the most fundamental levels, the universe behaves in weird ways that defy our everyday experiences. It challenges the very nature of what existence means. So one of the most famous thought experiments in quantum mechanics is Schrödinger's cat. I'm sure you are aware of it, but to recap, the cat is in a box with a quantum particle that can be in a superposition of states. Until we observe the box, the cat is simultaneously alive and dead. This illustrates the principle of superposition. Similarly, another amazing experiment that we have already spoken about, the double slit experiment. This observer effect hints at a very strange relationship between consciousness and physical reality. Here's a quote for you by Erwin Schrödinger, who, by the way, was a Nobel Prize-winning physicist known for his work on quantum mechanics. The total number of minds in the universe is one. In fact, consciousness is a singularity, phasing within all beings. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Some scientists and philosophers propose that consciousness itself might play a role in collapsing these quantum superpositions. This idea suggests that our minds might directly influence the fabric of reality at the quantum level. Okay, so if this is true, it would mean that our consciousness is not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the universe's unfolding. Some even speculate that the mind could be a quantum computer, processing information at levels far, far, far beyond our current understanding. Then there's quantum entanglement. This is when two particles become linked, and the state of one instantaneously affects the state of the other, no matter the distance. Some theories propose that our consciousness could be entangled with the universe in a similar way, connecting us with everything around us. This concept aligns with ancient spiritual teachings that speak of oneness, a connection with the cosmos that transcends space and time. Could quantum entanglement provide a scientific explanation for experiences like intuition, telepathy, or a sense of universal connection? So what does this mean for our understanding of consciousness and the universe? If our minds can influence quantum events, it suggests a deep and profound connection between us and the cosmos. It might mean that our thoughts and intentions can shape our reality more than we ever imagined. Oh, and check this. This could potentially explain phenomena such as the placebo effect, where belief and expectation seem to affect physical healing. And if consciousness has the power to impact reality, it may open up new frontiers in medicine, psychology, and maybe even technology. Again, many spiritual and mindfulness practices tap into this idea, encouraging us to focus our consciousness and intentions to manifest positive changes in our lives. And could it be that these practices are harnessing quantum principles in ways we're only beginning to understand? And yes, there is neuroscientific research that shows meditation can alter brain activity and even change the brain's structure, potentially suggesting a connection between focused intention and physical reality. So are we, in a sense, quantum beings with the ability to shape our own experience? So, what do you think about the relationship between consciousness and quantum mechanics? Is it possible that our minds have a direct influence on the fabric of reality? Is consciousness a mere byproduct of our brains, or does it hold a deeper cosmic significance? What are your thoughts? Leave me a comment below. I would love to see where this conversation could go. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. So please stay tuned, my friends, as we dive deeper into these mysteries in our future episodes.